You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with Jacob Morrison.
We've got to unite as workers and demand the respect we deserve from the boss. You and I should go on strike.
One day stronger. One day longer. One day stronger.
We are workers united.
If we don't get it, if we don't get it, if we don't get it, shut it down.
Last week in Southern Labor, we are bringing you what happened last week across the labor movement in the southeastern United States. Brought to you by Jonah Furman. You can subscribe to his newsletter on Substack to get what happened in the rest of U.S. labor. That title is WhoGetsTheBird.substack.com. WhoGetsTheBird.substack.com. So let's go ahead and get right to new organizing. 400 workers for Keurig Dr. Pepper in Windsor, Virginia, are organizing with RWDSU in what would be the biggest blue-collar win of 2021 if they can pull it off. 62 nursing home workers at the Mark Twain Caring Center in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, are organizing with UFCW Local 655. There were a few NLRB wins. One of two building engineers contracted to work at the FedEx facility in D.C. voted to join Operating Engineers Local 99. The other didn't vote, so they are union. Nearly 400 telecom production workers at Prismian in Scottsville, Texas, voted to stick with the UAW Local 3057 by 198 to 66 margin, which that is made much more impressive by the fact that the workers, that the employer hired. That was made much more impressive by the fact that workers hired to replace the strikers this spring were allowed to vote. So you had scabs that were voting on that, and they still voted to stick with the union. So that's really impressive. The staff of the nonprofit Institute for Local Self-Reliance across the country had their union recognized with OPEIU Local 12. There were a few losses and decertifications. In more bad news for refinery workers, 165 workers at the company's Baton Rouge polyolefins. It's a common type of plastic. I don't know what it is. That's what Jonah said. It's a common type of plastic. They just lost their union after a 51 to 96 vote to decertify Operating Engineers Local 407. URSO is rating a unit of 25 security guards currently represented by the LEOSU DC at KR Contracting in Sterling, Virginia. There are lots of spats between security guard unions, as you will be able to tell over the coming weeks as we do more of these segments, I think. And the next one is that the SPFPA is rating a unit of 14 FAA security guards in College Park, Georgia, currently with the Protection and Response Officers of America.
Also, lots of acronyms.
Lots of acronyms. And I meant this week to go and find what they stood for, but then I didn't. So I don't know. You'll have to figure it out yourself, I guess. That's
why you subscribe to Jonah's newsletter.
That's right.
So that you have more information.
That's right. Subscribe to Jonah's newsletter, WhoGetsTheBird.substack.com. There are several strikes and several news items about strikes and bargaining happening across the Southeast. We mentioned at the top of the show that Media Matters took a look at mainstream coverage of the Warrior Met Coal UMWA strike in Brookwood, Alabama, and found that CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News have collectively given 0 minutes of coverage to the largest coal strike in decades. 0 minutes, while Fox News gave an hour and 18 minutes over 5 days to one school district changing the word holidays to days off on their academic calendar. Just absurd. Just foolishness. There are around 20 barbers for contractor Sheffield at Fort Lee, Virginia. They remain on strike with laborers Local 572 after the boss raised haircut prices and lowered barbers' commissions. Fight for 15 held a one-day action among fast food workers in multiple cities across the South, with actions in St. Louis, Flint, Charleston, South Carolina, Marion, North Carolina, and elsewhere. The 2-week metal trades workers' strike at Arnold Air Force Base in Tullahoma, Tennessee, ended with a 3-year contract. Workers at Coca-Cola in Bluefield, West Virginia, with Teamsters Local 175, have rejected a final contract offer and authorized a strike. Their current contract expires on July the 28th. And teachers in Orange County, Florida, are at an impasse in salary negotiations with the school district. We've got some internal union politics. The AFT Mississippi is apparently suing the AFT, the American Federation of Teachers, and the Jackson, Mississippi Federation of Teachers for allegedly covering up embezzlement and failing to pay dues to the state organization. So that's no good. Politics and legislation, we are still on the PRO Act watch. We are still in reconciliation limbo with no details forthcoming about whether and what provisions of the PRO Act might be passed in the coming days or weeks. But one encouraging development was that Democratic holdout Senator Mark Kelly, he was saying he would support at least some provisions of the PRO Act in reconciliation. And
it might also be worth mentioning that there was a brief rideshare driver strike in California, and they actually went on strike on behalf of the PRO Act.
Oh,
so there's a different types of strategies that are being employed right now to try to get the word out about the PRO Act and put pressure on Congress, because it looks like this reconciliation bill will pretty much be the only thing that Congress achieves for the next year or two. Yeah. And so if we don't get it slipped in there, we may not have another chance for a while, if ever. So kudos to those rideshare drivers. Anything you can do to put pressure on your senators. Of course, those of us in Alabama, we don't have much to count on with Tommy Tuberville and Richard Shelby. Not exactly champions of the working class, but make sure they have at least heard from you.
Right. Finally, the battle between the Houston, Texas mayor and the firefighters Local 341 continues, and the firefighters continue to rack up wins, this time with the reinstatement of their local president in his city job after an arbiter ruled that he was unjustly fired in January. So that wraps up Last Week in Southern Labor. Make sure, if you want to find out what happened in the rest of U.S. labor, you subscribe to Jonah Furman's newsletter, whogetsthebird.substack.com.
Hey, you listen to conservative talk radio all week. Why don't you try something different for a change? The Majority Report with Sam Cedar is a 5-time award-winning daily left-wing political talk show. We go live every weekday at 11 a.m. Central Time on our YouTube channel. You can find it by searching for The Majority Report. We talk about the news, we take libertarian callers, we have debates, we interview guests on topics ranging from the post-Civil War Reconstruction era, child poverty, capitalism, the intellectual dark web, and more. And that's all just within the last month. If you want to hear what smart, progressive political talk that is occasionally amusing sounds like, then you need to tune in. And you're always welcome to call in if you want to hear the correct opinion on any given topic. I will give it to you. Tune in to the Majority Report at 11 a.m. Central Time on YouTube, or later, wherever you get your podcasts.
If you want to see what we're up to throughout the week and get our snide quips about the news of the day, then you should follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/The Valley Labor Report. We're on Twitter at Labor Reporters. I'm on Twitter at JacobM_AL. If you missed part of the show and want to go back and watch it later, you can search YouTube for The Valley Labor Report and subscribe to our channel. You can go back and watch the full show there, and we also clip segments and release them throughout the week. We upload the program on more than 11 different podcasting apps. So to see if we are on your listening platform of choice, you can go to thevalleylaborreport.transistor.fm/subscribe. We have a website where you can buy our hats and our stickers. We've only got about 12 hats left, so make sure you get one before they're gone. That's thevalleylaborreport.org. And finally, if you appreciate our work and want to help us stay on the air, then consider throwing us a couple dollars a month on patreon.com/thevalleylaborreport.